Hi guys, so for this video, I'm going to be talking about how to counter piece control. Yep, you heard that correctly, the piece control man himself is going to talk about how to counter it. I got this idea from the piece control master Slite, who I actually reacted to a few weeks ago. He made a really good video on how to win more fights. I'll link it below, definitely go check it out. So I wanted to expand on it myself. Basically what I'm gonna do is explain what counter piece control is, show off some really useful tricks for how to utilize it, and finish with the best practice methods. I'm telling you right now, all of these tips and tricks will really help your counter piece control and help you win way more fights in game. Thus, without further ado, let's get right on into it. Now, as I'm sure you all know, piece control is the meta in Chapter 2 Season 4. Not only does it help you win more fights, but it also helps you end fights faster. By the way, if you do not know what piece control is, I'm not going to explain it, I'm simply going to slap you across the face. For legal purposes, that is a joke. Because piece control is currently the meta, we have to be one step ahead of it and find the next meta, aka counter piece control.
But Jerian, isn't counter piece control the same thing as normal piece control? You're just taking control of build pieces.
That is a very fair point, little Timmy. I did not know you were 200 IQ. Seriously though, while they are very similar in theory, they are actually very different in practice. Just think about it. It's kind of like offensive versus defensive box fighting. They're both box fighting, however, they're not the same exact thing. One is when you're outside the box trying to get in and kill your opponent. The other is while you're inside the box trying to survive and also kill the aggressor. When I say the words counter piece control, you can basically think of defensive piece control. This means placing builds to prevent yourself from getting piece controlled, or placing builds to escape a situation in which you've already been piece controlled. Do you see the difference between that and actual piece control? You are not using it to lock down your opponent for an elimination. Rather, you're using it on your opponent to stop them from doing that to you. The simplest and most basic example of counter piece control is a triple edit. Well, not really the edit, but placing those 3 builds. The reason you place those 3 builds is not just to show off. Hopefully all you guys knew that and you weren't just doing it to look cool. They actually serve a very useful purpose for countering piece control. Why building those 3 build pieces and then performing a triple edit is so useful is because by building your own floor, cone, and wall, you're preventing your opponent from building one of those build pieces and therefore establishing piece control on yourself. Had you not gone ahead and built all 3 of those, you'd be giving any half-decent player the opportunity to control the fight. We don't want that because we watch itsJerian. We want to use counter piece control, aka building defensively, to stop our opponents from piece controlling on us. One last thing I want to say before I move on to the actual tips and tricks is that while counter piece control is very defensive in nature, it still can be used to help you win fights. Like in this clip right here, Booga uses counter piece control to escape a very sticky situation where he's ADSing in front of his opponent's wall. You see him go to the left, use the grid system to build a box, edit on the guy for a shot, again use counter piece control, aka the walls he built and edited, to block a shot, and finally exploit into his opponent's box for the elimination. Booga did not use any sort of normal piece control to lock his opponent down. Instead, he used counter piece control to prevent himself from getting boxed up, and utilized that counter piece control to turn his defense into offense. Very nicely done. First counter piece control trick I'll cover is for the most common way people get piece controlled, cone from the bottom or side. So like I just showed, this is for the piece control where you're ramping at your opponent, they cone you off, establish piece control, and you're basically dead. I don't know about you guys, but I think most people in that situation, including me, if they were the ones getting coned, would get coned, look for a way out, but not build, and then they would get piece controlled, they would get murdered by Kazaki, who has terrible aim, and they would lose the match. What you guys should be doing, and the counter piece control trick we all need to learn, is anytime you get coned, right away, you need to build a wall to your right or left. It doesn't matter which way. Usually you want it to be where your opponent is not, so he's in the middle, I can go either way, and you want to build a wall as fast as you can. With that wall, you're then gonna edit out, do a cone jump, I messed with the cone jump, do a cone jump, and boom, not only are you safe and have you countered their piece control, but you're also on high ground and can win the engagement. From your opponent's perspective, they're gonna think that they boxed you like a fish, got the cone off, they think they have both walls, when in reality, you are apparently 90ing above them. All you have to do to practice this is just go into creative, start cranking, and as you're at the top of your ramp, cone yourself off. This is going to get you into the habit of being in this awkward situation in which you want to immediately build to your right or left, edit the wall, and cone jump out. Then you can do it again, cone yourself, edit out, cone yourself, other side, cone jump. The better you become at this and the quicker you become at this, the less likely you're going to get piece controlled in game, and the more fights you're going to win. Second counterpiece control trick I'll look at is to prevent getting double piece control during box fights. When I say double piece control, all I mean is cone and flooring your opponent on one side, then just editing it open and killing them. The absolute worst thing you can do in this position is what Kazaki just did, which is edit out to the side without establishing any counterpiece control yourself. Any good player who watches itsJerian will be able to murder you. Even Kazaki. You may think what you should do is try to get that piece control first, which kind of makes sense, but at the same time, really does not work against any decent player. What you want to do instead of editing to the side is simply turn around from wherever your opponent is, build a ramp, and then make a box the other way. That's going to give you 2 boxes to work with. You have control of much more build pieces. That way, if your opponent continues to pressure you, you can do the same exact thing. Always more piece control. More angles to work with. More angles to work with, and less opportunity for your opponent to piece control you. This is pretty basic, and I did show it in my other video on just useful tricks. Mongrel did it where after he edits to the second box, he'll edit his ramp back for a right-hand peek. But I have another trick up my sleeve that is different from this one that works even better. How it works is you get up on a ramp, but instead of editing out the top, which pretty much any good player will expect, you're going to want to edit out the side, build a wall here, a ramp, 2 ramps like this, and then 2 more walls as you jump up. This is going to give you a crazy amount of piece control. Your opponent will either end up under the ramps, kind of like Kazaki, or will end up behind it, in which you can just box them up, and boom, now you have piece control on them. At full speed, your opponent will be in front of you, taking your wall. It's okay if they do take it, because remember, you're editing out, building like this. They're going to be under your ramp. Hopefully you do not miss a shot like that, but then you can box them up, establish your own piece control, all while countering their piece control. Here is what it looks like to be the piece controller who's going to get counter piece controlled. They're going to try to take your wall. They might get it. They'll try to jump up. And now they're the one who's piece controlled. No, don't do it! Kazaki knows too much. We must kill him. Third counterpiece control tip I'm gonna cover is the best way to approach box fights offensively. Something that Slite pointed out in his video is that the worst thing you can do while pressuring your opponent from above is to drop down on a ramp. This is because any good player will piece control you, and as you're piece controlled, you will get right-hand peeked with no way to escape. There's actually a few different ways to approach this that will all counter your opponent's piece control. What Slite and a lot of pro players do is they'll throw down random ramps, random cones. That way their opponent will not know which side they're dropping on until, of course, they actually drop. And they're just really quick with it. And then on top of that, they'll almost always drop down on a cone, not a ramp. The cone is way more versatile. If your opponent tries to edit out and shoot you, you could edit this up. If they come out and try to piece control you, you can just do the booger trick, which is to build a wall to your left, edit out. You can even do what Slite does, which is build a cone and floor as he has this cone down. Then after his opponent edits out, he edits this up and comes right up on the top. There's basically no way his opponent can piece control him, all because of his counter piece control. Let's pretend I'm in a real game. I would throw some random ramps down. He has no idea where I'm coming down from. After, I would put a cone, which I would drop down on. I then hit the wall, build this up like Booga does. Make sure I have my wall, kind of like the first trick. This baby is here for your counterpiece control. And finally, turn my offense, or rather defense, into offense. No matter how good your opponent is, if you are constantly establishing counterpiece control or just countering piece control, there is no way they're going to be able to piece control you. Oh my gosh. If you want to play it really, really safe, I would advise you not to drop down right in front of your opponent's wall. Even if you do the booger strat and you're really fast, it's much safer to just come diagonally and either do the Arkham strat, which is this, just build a wall and ramp, pressure it like that, or do what Kiriachi does, which is completely box yourself up and then pressure the wall. Once you have control of all of this stuff, there is no way for your opponent to piece control you. All they can do is just try to outpeak you, or for some reason throw mid. That was 200 IQ. 300 IQ. In the end, regardless of which strategy you choose to use, you just want to make sure you are always establishing counterpiece control, which is basically piece control. You see how even when he tried to piece control me, I still have a way to escape? That is the beauty of counterpiece control. Oh my gosh. Fourth and final counterpiece control tip works against the really useful high wall strategy that I learned from Reet. For those of you that do not know what the Reet high wall is, it's basically placing a wall above you. That way you can edit it and establish piece control on the guy that is behind it. The wall itself does not really block off your opponent, kind of like these walls. Rather, you build it because it allows you to piece control whoever you block off with it. If you watch Reet, you'll see him use the high wall so much. He's always throwing up this extra wall just to see who he can catch with it. What you want to try to avoid when you get high walled is jumping. You do not want to jump. Whoever high walls you is going to place down this cone, and when you jump, they're going to wall you off, edit on you, and you're dead. Nothing you can do about it if you jump. The only problem with this is that, unlike the first one, it is really hard not to jump because all you're going to see is this wall. You're going to think you can jump over it like I just did. Against a good player, you're not going to be able to. I'm telling you, it's never going to work. When you see a high wall, take my advice, edit out to the side. Boom. You have successfully counterpiece controlled probably the best and most effective piece control method in the game. It just takes a lot of getting used to. Your opponent is going to think they put you in the montage with that high wall. They're going to edit it open, try to piece control you, but it's not going to work. Your opponent is unfortunately a itsJerian subscriber. They're also an itsJerian subscriber who listens and knows about counterpiece control, and that anytime you see this high wall, it is a bad sign. Do not jump. Please do not jump. Build a wall, edit to the side, and boom. Counterpiece control complete. To wrap up the video, I'll quickly talk about how you can practice counterpiece control. The easiest and most effective way to start is just to go into creative like I showed, practice normal piece control, practice all the methods I just showed of counterpiece control, and always keep in mind that you need to have an exit option because that is the most important part of counterpiece control. Once you do that and you have all of these in your muscle memory, you want to go into a 1v1 or maybe a box fight. You can even go into the random creative zone wars, and again, pull out all of these counterpiece control tricks. You really do not want to just hop straight into game because while you may have these down and you may think you know them, you want to practice on a real opponent, someone who actually knows what piece control is. That way in game, you will actually be able to pull them off. Start by free building, go into a 1v1, and finally go into arena or a tournament and make itsJerian proud. Overall guys, that is my complete guide on how to counter piece control. So if you enjoyed the video, do be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel somewhere down here, and to turn on my post notifications. Shout out to everyone on the screen for using code JERIAN. I appreciate each and every one of you. I did not forget about the 1 mil PC giveaway. I'm still setting it up. If you want to mark it down on your calendar, I should have it out by next week, but I want to make sure that everything goes perfect and I want to make sure the PC is really, really nice. Otherwise, that's it for me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.